Hello, family. My name is James Trice, and I'm the creator of a podcast called YANA, or You Are Not Alone. You Are Not Alone is a podcast for Black men. It is more than just a podcast. It's a lifeline and a brotherhood. We're here to create a supportive, judgment-free space where Black men can have real, open conversations about what truly matters to us, from family and relationships to community, sports, culture, politics, faith, sex, race, education, and the challenges of everyday life. We dive deep into it all. Whether you're looking for advice, motivation, prayer, or just the comfort of knowing you're not walking this journey alone. YANA is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone. Look for new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts. And look for me on Instagram at jbtrice123. Welcome to YANA. Grace and peace, everyone. Welcome to YANA. You Are Not Alone is a judgment-free, safe space for Black men to come together and talk about issues that we find are important to us, uncensored. It's a place to be real, to be open, to be heard, a place where we realize that we don't have to walk this life's journey alone. We are not meant to do life alone. And so I welcome you to the space. I welcome you to YANA, this episode of YANA. And today we have a guest, actually my brother, Brother Jerrold Trice. And so I'm going to ask him to just say a little bit about himself, introduce himself, and we're going to get right into the discussion. Welcome, brother. Thank you for joining me on YANA.
I'm glad I could make it, man. It does my heart good to be here, man. I appreciate you having a spot like this, man.
Thank you.
It's really overdue.
So briefly, introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm Jerrold Trice. As you said, I am your brother. I'm younger, though bigger in stature. I guess I know how in size, but I got two college degrees. I got two bachelor's degrees in acting and in broadcast communications. I had planned to go to grad school, but I didn't make it. Life happened. But I did graduate with those two degrees, and I did work in both fields. In communications and in theater. Right now, I'm working for a library. I love doing it. Basically creating programs for people and helping people out in the library. My title is a public service specialist. So I'm just there to serve the public. I also still work in the theater. I'm still doing plays, regional theater mostly. And matter of fact, got an audition coming up next week.
Good.
So yeah, I'm married, got two kids. Journey, who's 20 years old, and Justice, who's 16.
All right.
Yeah,
Good.
and married to my wife for 20. Was it going on 27 years, man?
Wow.
I keep telling you I'm
That's a
gonna
long
catch you,
time.
my brother.
Right,
But
right,
I'll never
right.
catch up, right? So yeah. So yeah, and happily married. My
Good.
wife is she's the boss. Despite what people might think or what everybody might say, but
That's
I know
right.
who the boss is. I don't play with that. I know who the
That's
boss
right.
is.
Right. I heard somebody say one time that every man lives in his wife's house.
Yeah, there you go. That's true. That is so true.
All
Yeah.
right.
So,
So you talked a lot about, you talked about your theater, you talked about the work that you enjoy doing there at the library. What are you most passionate about? And what brings you joy and satisfaction?
um, helping people. I don't know. For some reason, I just get a kick out of, even if people don't appreciate it, I just get a kick out of just, if somebody needs something or is having trouble with something, and if I can make it a little easier for
Mm-hmm.
them, or if I can work
Mm-hmm.
with them,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I enjoy doing. I also enjoy entertaining people, as the theater thing,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and just telling stories, Um, I like to delve into his history and look at all the stuff that's happened before, true stories. And I love fantasy also, man. So, we used to do the Star Trek thing when we were kids, we
You did.
loved some Star Trek,
That's
and
right.
that and Batman and I still love all those you know. But a good story, man. Anybody that's got a good story, I love hearing that.
Okay. So tell us the story that you are just most intrigued by. A story that you've told or you've heard, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, a story that really resonated with you, that you were most intrigued by.
Okay. Oh man, that's a good one. Uh, I just saw an amazing story. Queen Nzinga in Zinga from what is now called Angola, but back then was at her time of rule. It was called Indala, Indala. I can't say the name of it right now. But the story was told. It's on Netflix. It's a series on Netflix, and it's
Okay.
about this woman who was born in royal blood. She had royal blood, and she basically was um living under her father's kingdom at the time that the transatlantic slave trade started. And
Mm-hmm.
it had just started. The Portuguese were had a colony right out on the coast, and it just started. And once the father died, the brother took over as king, and he started executing people who he thought might have a good claim to the throne. Of course, he didn't think about his
Mm-hmm.
sister, who actually had a better claim to the
Mm-hmm.
throne if you don't go by
Mm-hmm.
sex.
Mm-hmm.
So he executed her son, and she did not take revenge on him or anything like that. She served under his command because she knew there was something more important that she had to do, which was stop the transatlantic slave trade. And let me tell you, the
Mm-hmm.
woman went to war. She was already trained as a warrior, but she went to war. And it was amazing to hear this story because Jada Pinkett was one of the producers of it. And just to hear how this woman did everything that she possibly could to stop this war against her people, because they knew they had kept slaves. But I mean, if you understand the slavery in Africa, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you understand this, slavery in Africa wasn't the same as
Right.
slavery under white folks, under Europeans.
Right.
And so she knew that, the way they were treating the people wasn't right. And so she was trying to stop slavery throughout all of Africa. And she
Mm.
let her brothers and her father and everybody know we have this is priority. They just wanted to, oh, it's all right. It'll be all right. We kids slaves do. They wanted to put it in the back burner and be about the business of ruling the kingdom. But she said, no, we have to stop this. And it took her years before she could even, and she had to, of course, convert to Christianity and do all kinds of things to stop it. But she eventually at least slowed it down, and she got, her country, you know, ratified by the Pope to be a Christian nation. So the transatlantic slave trade could not continue to take place. A lot of things
Mm.
Americans don't realize is that we always talk about, oh well, we ended slavery, and Juneteenth was just passed. Um, America was the last nation out of all nations that were doing slavery. America was the last one
That's right.
to outlaw slavery, to illegal, make slavery illegal. And the slave trade, of course, was raging during the time of Queen Nzinga's reign. They were losing people, but she was able to stop them to the point where for a certain period of time, they weren't even able to take any of the slaves from that area of Africa because she
Hmm.
was there. And
Wow.
that amazed me just to see that a woman was, saying, no, look, my people are more important to me than ruling some kingdom, you know.
Right.
And
Wow.
she did everything
That's
she could do. Mm.
wow. And you have to send that to me so I can check it out myself. Just email it to me so I can. It's on
Well,
Netflix, you said, right?
it's on Netflix, yeah, and it's I just streamed it just recently. I guess because I was
Okay.
looking for something to watch for Juneteenth, so I
Right.
decided to watch that. And man, I was
Hmm.
amazed by that. I give Jada Pinkett some props. I didn't think she was that, but yeah, she
That
produced
talent.
that. Man, I was amazed with that. I was like that, and it was well acted and everything.
It's interesting. Because Juneteenth just passed, and so this is a segue because it's really what yesterday was Juneteenth. Was it yesterday? Yes,
Uh,
today, the
no,
19th. Yeah, it was the
it
19th, right?
was the
Today's the
19th,
21st.
yeah, but today's the
Yes,
21st, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
right, right. What do you think about it becoming a quote unquote national holiday? What are your thoughts on that?
Um, like I just said, America was the last nation to recognize that slavery was illegal, should be illegal. And they didn't do it because they wanted to. They didn't do it because they wanted to free everybody and want everybody to be free. They only did it because it stopped them from having to seed the nation, having to have
Right.
people break off and form their own little colonies or nations, whatever. But in reality, to me, I just think that what they're doing now is just commercializing. And they're
Hmm.
using it now to say, okay, well, look at what we did for the blacks. We gave them that. But y'all still, Trayvon Martin. I mean, come on, we can go back further than Rodney King. We can go back to the '60s and the '50s. I mean, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were destroyed in this nation. Not just their bodies, but their image.
Yeah.
What they continue to do to us today. I mean, think about this whole nation got together and elected a openly white supremacist president of the United States after electing a black president.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to me, I just think that it's just a bunch of lip service. It's just an opportunity for them to continue to use as a tool to say, "Hey, look, we're doing something. Don't say we're all bad."
Hmm.
But I have some issues with. I have some issues with it. Um, you know, but I do try to celebrate it because I appreciate the day for us. And another thing, if I can continue a little bit,
Go ahead. Yes.
another thing I feel about it is what I was saying about this nation being the last one to outlaw slavery. Um, it also is a nation that has you know has will continue to use slavery as a way of saying, you know, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be upset. Like for instance, Trump just got through saying that, or did some kind of text message saying we have too many holidays, and this is an opportunity for you, black people, to get off work, and black people don't hardly get off work for the only people who get off work for this holiday are city officials and state officials. Those are the only people who get off of these holidays.
Government officials, yes.
Right. He was talking about businesses being shut down. Ain't businesses shut down, bruh. I don't know what
No,
he's
they
talking
didn't.
about.
Yeah,
So to me, it's they're going to continue to use it as a tool to bash us upside the head with it.
yeah,
And also there's one more personal note that people have this idea that, or this, I guess it's kind of a myth that, we didn't know slavery was over. So, on this until the June 19th was when we find out slavery was, that's not true. That's a myth. I found out, I was listening to this sister named Jackie Lukeman, who has a podcast her own, and she was saying that that's not true, that slaves knew when it was, when slavery was over, because they knew everything white people knew, you know,
mhm,
and they weren't set free because they wanted to try to continue to maintain slavery through some kind of way, or and they were just held in slavery because they had no place to go. It was like, where do we go? And so they kept the people as slaves, saying, okay, well, we're going to pay you, making all kinds of lies and stuff up to keep those people in bondage. In other words, why should we give up our slaves just because we lost some little war?
that's right.
We
Right.
lost some little war, and so we got to give up all our slaves and all our money and all our free labor because of that. No, we're going to continue to, come and make us give up our slaves, and that's why they were held until later on in June.
That's right.
That they didn't know that they were free until they knew that they were free, but they didn't get free until later on. So I'm for
Yeah.
celebrating it. I just wish people would learn the truth about it instead of
Right.
trying to pretend like it's some kind of like we were so stupid that we didn't even know that
Right.
we were
Or,
free.
or, or like it's a big picnic or something, right? A big
Right.
family cookout or something like that. I actually have a I wasn't supporting it becoming a national holiday because I think it's
Hmm.
a way for America to commercialize it, to monetize it,
Right.
and to begin to water it down. As you know now, it's said Juneteenth, but what they say, the tagline is a day of national liberation. It wasn't a day of national liberation. We were
Mm.
celebrating Juneteenth before it became a national holiday, right?
That's
In
right.
places Chicago and Milwaukee and places around the country, Texas, all over, particularly Texas where you live at, in Galveston, celebrating. We
Hmm.
were celebrating it on our own because we
Hmm.
recognized what it meant. We recognized the
Right.
significance. We recognized what Juneteenth meant. Now it's begin. I think it's a way for them to begin to water it down, and I believe 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now, you ask somebody what Juneteenth is, and they won't know anything about it. They'll just say it's a national day of liberation. Okay,
Right.
from what? Where did it come from? Where did it originate
Mm.
from? I was just at a Juneteenth event. It was this area in Minneapolis. They, blocked off like 2, 3 blocks and vendors and so forth out there, right? And I came across a table where there was white people at a table selling T-shirts that say things like, "Who taught you the color of your skin? I did. Who taught you to hate
Oh,
yourself?" And this kind. And there's white people at the table selling these shirts,
wow. That
right?
takes some
Who taught
balls
you?
to do
Who
some
taught you?
shit.
Who taught you the rhythm? We did, and it was white people
Oh
selling these
man.
shirts at Juneteenth. And so I had
Oh
to
my
confront them. I said,
goodness.
"Hold on a second." I said, "You did? You did?" And he said,
Yeah,
"Well,
I know you do.
I
I
said,
know
"This
how
is
you
not
are.
a." I said, "This is not a good look. What are y'all doing?" Right? I think, and to me, it just proved what I was saying is that it's a way for them to monetize it, to commercialize it, to make money off of it, and we were fine celebrating Juneteenth on our own and recognizing it. We didn't miss anything. Every year in Minneapolis, we have big Juneteenth celebrations and recognition, right? The only thing that I had a problem with too with that was that I had to really talk with the leaders of the Juneteenth organizers to tell them, because I never saw a booth or a table or anything set up that had at least a leaflet, at least a little pamphlet, or some even a card that just says what Juneteenth is all about. Why do we recognize this day? And there was nothing in any of the vendors that I've seen nowhere that had a little card to pass out. Because when I was going through talking to people, I said, "Do you know what Juneteenth is all about?" "Oh yeah, it's a day for us to come together. It's like a family gathering, a cookout, is what it is." I said, "Do you know what it's about?" And people did not know what it was about. And so with this event, for me to see white folks now with T-shirts, that's like this didn't come from you. So I'm all for recognizing it and celebrating it, but to become a national holiday, to me, I had a problem with it because I think it's the beginning of them destroying it. They've always appropriated our stuff. They've always watered down what has taken place with us, right? We all
Hmm.
understand that black men have been typecast as America's villains, and that has not ceased. We all
Right.
understand that when Judge William Taney said in the Dred Scott decision in 1865 that blacks have no rights that whites are bound to respect, that has not been rescinded, that has not been renounced, that has not been debunked since he said that. And everything is predicated, and the foundation of America is built on that notion that blacks have no rights that whites are bound to respect. And so they don't respect this Juneteenth holiday. It's not like you said, government officials to get off work, to not do anything. Well, they're the ones that are maintaining this level of oppression. So anyway, I wanted to interview you. So let me ask this question here. What do you think is the most challenging thing about being a black man in America to you? What is the most challenging thing about being a black man in America?
I think I think the ambiguity, the whole, you know, do I realize this is a bad place, but there's some things that I like about it. There's some things that I appreciate. I appreciate the people. You know, people, when I say something, when I say the white man, everybody says, "Oh, that's you racist." You know, I've been called reverse racist so many. When I was in college, that was that was who I was. I was the reverse racist guy. He's always talking about white people. I don't mean white people because I know some good white people. I know some people that I really love that are white people. But I don't even think I should have to say that. That's the most challenging thing to me is always having to even though I feel strongly about my people. I feel, you know, like I'm African. I feel like I'm a black man. Whatever you say about me, I know who my people are and I love my people. I was
Mhm.
raised by black women and black men. All this black men ain't no good. They don't take care of their kids. Well, some of them don't, but some of them do. So, you know, I still love the ones who don't. I still love them all. My problem is that I get stereotyped and I get called names. I get labeled even before you even understand me. And that is so trying to me. That is so challenging to me to try to get people to understand that I'm a human being just like you, bruh. Yeah, I'm gonna do some wrong things, but I shouldn't be punished two and three times worse than anybody just because of the color of my skin. I shouldn't have to smile every time I enter a room because you scared if you see me with a frown on my face because that makes you feel uncomfortable, you know? That is terrible to me. I don't, I feel like I'm not at home when that happens, you know, but when like this job that I work now, I feel at home because nobody expects that out of me. Nobody treats me like that. It's the best job I've ever had because when I walk in the door, everybody knows, you know, that I'm a human being first. I'm a black man first. Let me correct that. But I'm also a human being, just like you. So treat me just like not like you would want to be treated, but treat me like I want to be treated. That's what it
Yes.
is. It's not about how you want to
Right.
be treated. It's how I want to be treated. And and I can't even start with the cops. It's just, I don't even want to
Right.
go there with that. It's like
Right. Well, maybe in our next interview, this is not going to be the first. We got a couple of minutes left. You said something, and I want to just really, I just want to underscore. There's the saying in the Bible: treat others the way you want to be treated, right? But I also think that you have to treat others the way they want to be treated.
that's right.
Because
Yeah.
you follow what I'm saying? Is that because you may not want to be treated a certain way, that it's like, no, treat me the way I want to be treated. If I say
Hmm.
my name is, McGillicuddy, call me that, right?
Right.
Treat me the way I want to be treated and respect that. And this society hasn't learned
Hmm.
to do that with black people. As we end, let me ask this: what is your favorite quote or book or song? Well, let me stop here and ask this. As we end this conversation, what final word would you give to the black men who are listening right now? What words, what would you say to black men who are listening right now?
I would say what I just recently heard. I recently heard the artistic director or managing director at the theater that I belong to, the Soul Rep. She just sent out a tweet for Father's Day saying, "I see you." You know,
Mm,
all black men, all of y'all, whether your daddies or not, whether your uncles or not, if you put in the time, you spend the time, I see you. I just want everybody to know that I see them. I see you, bro. I know what's going on, out there. Even though my status might be a little higher than yours as far as economics or employment or whatever, I see you. And that's what I try to let everybody that comes to my place of employment. I try to let them all know I see you. You know, I'm practicing that because that's what I want everybody to know. I see you.
that's right.
You're not one of those people who are just lost in the sauce and nobody gives a doggone what you're going through. I want you to know other people are going through it too. If I'm not going through it now, I might have gone through it before. And if I hadn't
Right.
gone through it, man, trust me, we all know somebody who has.
Yes, right.
So, we just have to let them know, look, I'm here for you. If I can help you, I'll help you. If I can do something for you, I'll do it. You know, um, you know, we should be here for each other. So that's what I
That's
want
right.
black men to know. And I want them to know that, I know it's trying. I know that we've been turned against each other consistently. There's so much competition. Everybody's talking about it. Capitalism is really a monster to me. I'm gonna be honest, but we can talk about that some other time. But I
Yes.
know it puts
Yeah.
you in a position where you're judged by how much you make, how much you earn, how
Yeah.
much you got, what can you get. You ain't got no money. Everybody's always talking about what you worth, and that is nowhere near what you're worth. There's not enough money on this planet to equal what you're worth, what you are worth.
Oh,
You are
wow.
worth more than what they have on this planet. Every last one of us. Every last one
Yes.
of us. So treat each other like that, like they're valuable commodities. When I used to drive the school bus, I used to drive a school bus, and they used to say, well, you're hauling precious cargo because I was hauling children. So I had to learn that these are precious cargo. These are children, and they deserve to be seen. That's what I would say.
Thank you, brother. Well, thank you, Jerrold, for uh, joining Yana today. I appreciate you so much. What is a favorite quote or favorite book that you would recommend people pay attention to, a favorite quote that has inspired you?
Um, I think Hubert Henry Harrison had a quote. that if uh, I forget the quote, man, but it was something to the effect. I'll kind of paraphrase it because I can't remember the exact quote. That you don't know. Show me whose bread you eat, and I'll show you whose song you sing. Something to
Mm,
that effect. Basically, you know, whoever whoever pays you, that's who you're that's who you're shielding for, basically. That's who
mm,
you're that's who determines what you say. Because I spend a lot of time in the media, because I've got a communications major, and I know that if you have a if you're on air and somebody's paying your bills and they say you can't say a certain thing, it don't matter what freedom of speech or all of that goes out the window. Once they say you can't say a certain thing, you can't say it
right.
because they are paying the bills. So I just wanted to that's why I love this. That's why I love the internet, because this is an opportunity for us to say whatever we want to say and not
Yes.
have to worry about somebody saying, "Oh, you can't say that." I mean, there's probably some gatekeepers out there trying to set you down, but if, in reality, they'll never be able to shut it down because it's the internet,
Thank you.
you know.
That's right.
So,
Right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Gerald, for joining us. And we're going to do it again. I'm going to have you on again. This is wonderful because I want to really hone in on a lot of stuff you said. You said a lot of gems. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Yana. You are not alone. And remember, we're never meant to do life alone. Grace and peace, brothers.
all right, peace.